current city councilor at large election. She's running again this year. And she asked a question that kind of jogged my thought. Is it was a questionnaire that the candidates were handed out before this meeting, and many of you have seen that. And our purpose here is to expand. We're not just asking those questions. The groups are asking follow-up questions for explanation. And I would also add that we're exchanging information. There's an education process here too. The candidates are educating us, but we're educating them. And that give and take session is what we try to encourage, and I think we've had success so far. Welcome, Mark. Thank you. And would you like to take 2 minutes to tell us about yourself?
Okay, yeah, I guess. All right. My name is Barb Russ. I came to Duluth in 1979 when I. Okay.
We're good.
All right. At the end of 1979, when I had finished law school and got a wonderful job at the St. Louis County Attorney's Office, and I retired in 2013. And about 2 weeks after that, I filed to run for city council. It wasn't anything in my plan or on my bucket list, but I got a request to do that, so I did. And so I'm at the end of one term. And I will say that being on the city council was very different than what I thought it might be. I hadn't really followed the council a lot while I was working all those years. I heard a lot about conflict now and then. And of course, I spent a lot of time working with the county board, and there's always a lot of conflict there, and I don't think that's ever going to change. But so I've always been in public service. I like public service, I value it. And I think it's really important for people to, if they can, work it into their lives. And I know that Duluth is filled with people who value public service, whether it's being on the, sitting out in the council chambers when there's an important issue to talk about, important issue to, make comments about. So I want to be able to finish what I started with some of my projects. And so I hope that I can be reelected by all of you and can have another term.
Thank you. First question, Charlotte Gardner, DSA.
Thank you, and hi Barb.
Charlotte?
This question is from Joe Haberman from DSA, and it's about affordable housing. Please be specific and give examples of, quote, the incentives to build affordable housing, which you talked about in your questionnaire. When for-profit developers receive incentives for a particular development. A, how many low-income units should be required in that development? B, what income levels should be served by those subsidized units? And C, what are the mechanisms to keep those subsidized units affordable long-term so our tax dollars are helping solve the problem rather than just helping the developer make a profit?
Well, that's a very important question, a very good question. I don't know how specific I can answer that, but we do have to have incentives. Ordinarily, you can't tell someone what to build on property they own so long as they're building within the rules and the zoning and so on and so forth. We need affordable housing. We need affordable housing that also has housing that also includes, I would say, something important that we've got to look at in addition to it being affordable, but we need housing also that provides some supervision of the building. I'm on the mental health task force that's doing a lot of good work right now, and I think we're going to achieve some important goals with regard to mental health in our community. But I think we need to, in terms of the numbers, of course, that would depend on how large the whole development is in terms of the numbers, and we'd probably be talking about percentages instead of a specific number. But I think we need to establish some policies, and we've been working on that very slowly. Administration's been very slow on actually putting something together that labor has requested, as well as what the community is requesting for something like that. So, I wish I could be more specific, but I really don't think I can without more facts about a specific development.
Thank you, Barb. J.T. Haynes from Clean Water.
Hi, Councilor J.T. Haynes, still Clean Water. So you voted no on the resolution to support an evidentiary hearing on the Parliament matter. In your questionnaire, you expand on that by saying you would not support an evidentiary hearing unless there was information available, that there was conflicting information regarding the safety of mining activity, and there was information that clearly indicated great likelihood that the watershed would be endangered. From Duluth Clean Water's perspective, one of the few things that has seemed clear to us is that there is conflicting information regarding the safety of copper sulfide mining. In fact, experts with no financial stake in the project in fields such as geochemistry, hydrology, engineering, geology, and mining have all submitted comments critical of this proposal. So I guess we're just inviting you to clarify, do you disagree that there is conflicting information about the safety of the proposal? And secondly, why do you require great likelihood of danger to the watershed? Would not simply danger be sufficient to support a neutral, science-based hearing on the process?
Well, first of all, let me clarify my answer that I would not call for an evidentiary hearing, because I really believe that DNR is going to have evidentiary hearings. There's no question about that. So as far as the information that you're talking about, I don't have that information. I'm not making the effort to get that information, but if there was going to be conflict over whether or not we needed evidentiary hearings, I would certainly support those hearings if indeed there was conflicting information. Let's see, what was the other question, JT?
Why do we need great likelihood to call for an evidentiary hearing rather than just simply likelihood?
Well, again, I guess it would sort of depend on having, all of the facts. It's kind of hard to know for sure at any given information, any given situation, whether or not there should be evidentiary hearings, of course. But I don't know that right now. I'm certainly not qualified to make those decisions. I certainly would support them if there was evidence that it's going to be, something that is clearly going to be harmful to the environment, whether it's a watershed or anything else.
Okay, thank you, Barb. Jen and Ashley from Feminist Action Collective.
Hi, I'm Ashley. Can you talk about how important diversity is to you and what specific measures you'd recommend to support diversity in our community?
Well, diversity can mean a lot of different things. If any of you were here last night to see the filming of Being Black in Duluth, it's very clear that we have people who are having to live their lives in a way that most of us don't have to. I have 3 children who are African American. They grew up in Duluth, and for whatever reason, they grew up really without the kind of challenges that people of color in this community are facing these days. And I don't know exactly why things have become so much worse than they seem to have been, say, growing up in the 80s and 90s. And diversity is very important, because whether it has to do with race, religion, whether it's somebody is what has to do with transgender folks, where I think we're really seeing a lot of change, which I think is positive with regard to those folks. But a community is more healthy, I think, the more diverse it is. Because various groups of people in various cultures bring different things to the table when we're talking about issues for our city, what's important in our city, what changes we need to make in the city. I think probably the most important thing we have to really figure out how to deal with are the school issues, because they impact children so much, and how whether or not children are going to be successful in school. So I'm going to repeat the question, see if there's something else I missed there. Okay,
Okay,
right?
thanks. Mike Mayo for the Barb Revolution.
All right, we've been asking this question of all the candidates so far, but it's going to kind of piggyback off of the diversity. How would you define the term inclusive, and how will you strive to be inclusive throughout all steps of the process as a Duluth City Council?
Well, I think the word inclusive kind of speaks for itself, but I think when, for example, we're working on the comprehensive plan and we're making it a much more inclusive process, I think that they have used in the past. It means getting people to the table, hearing what people have to offer with regard to any issue, whether it's a planning issue, whether it's housing issues. I just think it means including everybody and including their ideas, including what they see as a problem, including how they would like things to change, or how likely in terms of process, or in terms of what the outcome is going to be. So all along the way, we need to be including people in where they can live. People should have a right to decide what neighborhood they want to live in. People have a right to talk about what kind of housing they can live in, and it seems like just with every step of the way, you need to include people. And one thing I think we're very lucky that we have people like you who will spend your Saturdays walking on the lake walk. And we kind of joked about it yesterday. We can get people getting out there exercising by just naming Saturdays. What are we marching for? This weekend. So I don't know what else to say about being inclusive, other than you can't just be inclusive when it's easy to be inclusive. And we have to reach out more for people. We think sometimes in City Hall thinks that they're doing a great job at having everything online, and people can go there and they can see things. Not everybody operates that way. And I think we've come up with better ways to include everybody, whether it's older people, younger people, people from one end of Duluth to the other. And some neighborhoods are a little bit more active than others, but I think we need to focus on the neighborhoods where we're not seeing a lot of people showing up for things. So.
Okay, thank you, Barb. Charlotte.
Okay. Thank you. Barb, you announced actually at March that you're sponsoring a resolution supporting a carbon tax on fossil fuels at the federal level. And thank you for that. So the question is, if you're willing to support an advisory resolution to the federal government, why are you unwilling to support the council going for an evidentiary hearing to learn whether it's not safe to have a copper mine in the Lake Superior watershed that could have dire health and economic consequences to every Duluthian? So if you're going to go there, why don't you go here?
I understand the question. I've had this resolution for some time now. And when I was asked to sponsor it, I said, it was at a time when we were doing a lot of other things in council, and I said, I think it's not the best time for that. And let's wait and see what the administration is going to do, and what we could do this at the same time, and while people are talking about climate change. And so that's why I'm doing it now. And you're right, it's just an advice, just letting Congress know that we think they need to do this. Grand Marais, for example, has already done it. There's a number of other cities that have. So the distinction I would make is that with regard to that vote with regard to the DNR and have an evidentiary hearing, or that is that I felt like at that time we didn't have the information to support having one, and perhaps it's, because I have worked with DNR in the past, it's my observation that they do call for those hearings, evidentiary hearings, when they have the reason to do so, and that's why I voted against that. They will, I guess maybe I trust them too much, and but so I think there's a distinction there, and I hope that they will have evidentiary hearings. They're going to have to, because I'm sure there's going to be conflicting information, and so I certainly wouldn't oppose them.
Thank you. J.T. Haynes?
I think there are a few groups who are interested in the Parliament issue. Just to follow up on that real quickly, since I am next here, state officials have indicated that they would value public input in terms of ordering an evidentiary hearing. So I'm not sure that your position on that is consistent with what we as Duluth Clean Water think would be valuable from Duluth in terms of indicating support for a hearing and providing political cover for the governor, et cetera. But anyway, our question is, we love Duluth. We know you love Duluth too. We all love that magnificent lake out there. Our research shows that every copper mine which has failed had previously told communities it would not fail, and each of those companies touted their safety plan. Meanwhile, experts who study acid mine drainage argue there's not only likelihood but near certainty of severe watershed degradation. I know you've said you're not an expert on the matter, but what do you see as Duluth's role on this issue?
Well, I definitely think that Duluthians have a role in presenting information that they have and opinions of what they have about this. Absolutely. But
I mean the city council.
Oh, the city council. Okay. Well, in the city council, I think that I don't know. I guess there's all sorts of ways you can look at this. Is that we could say that, well, as a city council, we want to ask the administration to either hire an attorney, which they seem to be very willing to do for all sorts of things, and instead of using their own attorney's office. That's another issue. But I would like to see if indeed we've got the information is available and the facts are there. I think that the city council should direct the city to either bring a lawsuit to enjoin something if the DNR is not going to accept information that's provided, and I think or just have staff at the city testify at those evidentiary hearings. I would think that the staff would want to do that if the information was there.
Thank you. Ashley and Jen?
Sexual assault is a pervasive problem in our community, specifically among our student population. What steps would you take as a counselor to address this? Groups like PAVSA cannot combat this alone.
Well, PAVSA is certainly a great organization, and many years ago I was on the PAVSA board for about 10 years, and I chaired the board for a while. What else could we do? Well, certainly, I'm not exactly sure what the universities are doing, if anything, with regard to this issue. I think that there's possibly just simply sitting down with the city folk, the people up at UND or St. Scholastica, and see what, if anything, they think we could do. I'm not sure. There's a lot of things that we can do with them, but I'm not so sure on this other than working with them on policies, perhaps law enforcement working together up there. Certainly, I understand that PAVSA can only do so much, and PAVSA's strengths are really helping victims of sexual assault. I'm not sure what we can do to avoid it. I know that we had a meeting downtown. This goes back a few months ago, where people were really feeling very vulnerable. Women, coming out of work, people who worked at PAFs, the people who worked at, down at the building for women, feeling not safe when they left work. And so we talked about putting in more streetlights. And in fact, we actually, the next day after that meeting, we got streetlights replaced that had been out for a long time. So we can try and do those kinds of things.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike Mayo from our Revolution again. This is a question from one of our members. Please be specific. What is the number of hours per month that define a strong, sick, and safe time benefit for workers in Duluth?
So do you say per month? That someone would earn it per month? Number of hours. Well, first of all, I want to say that I think part-time people as well as full-time people should be getting that benefit. And I also think that the city council should go forward with what we're doing regardless of what the state does in terms of the preemption legislation. I think we should go forward. I'm not sure what the right number of hours are. I would say, I don't know, maybe this is too many. I don't know if 40 hours. Certainly, I don't think it should be less than that in terms of accumulating. And I think people should accrue from the time that they began working. I don't think there should have to be a period of time where people do not have that benefit.
Thank you, Barb. That's a good stopping point. We have 2 minutes of comments. We'll wrap it up.
All right. I'd just like to make a comment about the mental health initiative that's going on in our city. It's really amazing, and a lot of people are working really hard. There's been funding to help us with that. There's legislation now. I think there's 2 bills that are being considered that are related to it, and we're sort of piggybacking on Olmsted County that's doing the very same thing. But it's going to be provide a lot of services that we desperately need for people with mental health issues. So that's something. If anybody's interested in what's happening with that, I'd be glad to sit down and talk with you about it because it's really a very important project that's going on.